What's up, guys? In this video, we're going to be showing you some very low cost to $0 outreach methods that are going to help you get the first clients for your agency. Whether you're selling leads or retainers or you work on backend deals, this is going to help you get in front of the right people. We're going to show you some really simple ways to do this for beginners, but this can also be really helpful if you're intermediate as well. And maybe you already have some clients. These are some methods utilizing a couple different tools that Ryan B is going to talk about in this video that, again, are very straightforward and that you should be doing all the time, because you should really always have a client acquisition system in place to continually be having conversations with potential new clients and growing your lead generation business. So without further ado, let's jump onto the computer. And Ryan B, he's the smarter Ryan, obviously. He's going to show you how it's done and walk you through a couple different things that I think are really going to be helpful. We already shared this in the Skool group and people really loved it. And so we thought, why not share it with the YouTube as well? So without further ado, I think I said that already. Let's jump on the computer.
Hey guys, this video, we're going to talk about a low-cost outreach system that will just give, if anyone doesn't know where to start or want to, keep things on a tighter budget when they're starting their outreach, this might be a good place to start. Now, you have two main ways you can do this, just to start right into it. The first things first, you're going to need data of some sort, whether that is just manually Googling things or finding a database such as Apollo, going through Google My Business, things like that. Now, the first thing you can do is find some sort of database, like I just said, and then just essentially just manually grind it. And that's going to be, DMs on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, doing manual emails from your email accounts, or even getting on the phone, cold calling. All the grunt work, things like that, that is definitely a possibility that you can find clients from, but it's going to be slower, which is okay, but cheaper. So that is definitely, a valid option. And just looking at the cost, it'll probably cost you maybe $10 all in to start. You can get Apollo, you can use Apollo free, and then you can scrape that list, which we'll go into a little bit more detail later. And then then you just hit it manually. So it's really only going to cost you maybe $10 to $20 tops to get started with that. The second system, what you can do is you can build out a lower cost cold email system. And I'm just going to dive right in. Again, like I said at the top, I'm going to keep this under 99. You can probably get this done for about $70, and then you can throw a couple of AI add-ons to bring us up to that 99 mark. But I'll just get right into it. So must-haves for this. Like I was saying, you need some sort of data, whether that is Apollo, Google My Business scraping, some sort of way to know who to even email and reach out to start selling your services. And then the next thing you're going to want to do is, you're going to need some email validation. You're going to need some domains. You always want to get fresh domains for your cold outreach, just because those will eventually get burned. They will eventually hit enough people where they hit spam, or they bounce too much, and then they will start getting red flagged, and you will not end up in inboxes. And that's the number one thing you need to have when you're doing cold outreach. You need people to see your emails, right? So super important to get that right. You're going to need your email inboxes, and then you are going to need some sort of sending tool to actually get your sequences, rotate your emails, and actually properly warm up your email accounts. Now, you don't have to have these, but nice AI add-ons. You can do some no-code automation for your list building, and you'll need some LLM subscription for that as well, which, again, I'll go into that, but nice to have. You don't need it when you're bootstrapping. So, cost, must-haves. So, Apollo, you can get for free when you're starting, and then you can scrape that free list for $1.20 per 1,000 leads. You can use Leads Rapidly, which, again, utilizes the free Apollo database, and that is a bit more neater and easier to use. So it's about $5 per 1,000 leads. Again, pretty cheap. An Outscraper on using Google My Business, you can use that as well. Again, we'll get into that. That's going to be about $4 per 1,000 leads. And then into the next things is setting up your Smartlead. That's your email sender. That's going to be $39 per month for 2,000 leads. It does jump to $94 if you want more than 2,000 leads a month. But again, to get started, to get bootstrapped, you can totally start with $39. You're going to need some sort of email validation. Outscraper email validation, that's probably the cheapest I've seen. So $3 per $1,000 emails, and it's kind of pay as you go credit wise. So you're not locked into $40 a month for Verify or something like that we also use. And then we've never used Ionis for domains, but there's, I think they're $1 each for the first year. Again, we haven't used them, but again, super cheap. And then Premium Inboxes, they're going to be your Google reseller for your domain. So you don't need to set up individual Gmail or Google Workspace accounts. You can just use a G Suite reseller to make it really cheap. It's about $350 a month per email domain. So again, super cheap to get all started with all that. And it's going to cost you about $70, give or take, to get started. So yeah, a great place to start. Now for the AI add-ons that we'll talk about later in the video, n8n, that's where your no-code platform. It's free for 14 days to get you're antiquated with it. See if you actually like it. It's only 24 bucks or 24 euros, I should say. And then Open Router, that's where you can get credits to use any of the LLMs out there. I really like Open Router. Again, we can get into that later. But yeah, for the AI add-ons, we're going to not dive into, I guess for everything, we're not going to dive into specifics. This video is just going to be an overview, and then I'll make more specific videos down the line as we kind of go. So step one, you're going to want to set up your cold email infrastructure. And there is inbox automation, but an alternative to that is these guys, Premium Inboxes. What I like about them, they're super fast to get up and running. So you can just literally go on their website, make an order. You'll have to put in your, some sensitive information. They ask for your password so they can log into your accounts, all that stuff. So again, make your passwords totally unique to these. Do not use a password that you use for any other service. Make it totally unique, totally random from anything that you've used before. Because again, you are giving sensitive information to these guys. Yeah, again, this is kind of how you want to set this up. It can look a little confusing to start, but if you really just take your time and walk through it, it's not too bad. And what's awesome about them, they get it to you within 12 hours. They can do it same day. Worst case scenario, you get it next day. So the speed is awesome. Huge thing for this is making sure you have your honest passwords in there, your Smartlead information so they can connect you directly to your email sequencer, and then they'll turn on email warm up. And you have to make sure it's rolling once they complete your order. It should be, but just double check. And then you have to let this run for 21 days to get your email actually in a state to be able to be delivered into inboxes. So super important with that. Step 2 is going to be getting your actual data and building your list. For this method, you can use either apollo.com or .io, and you can use the free version. Or you can use on Outscraper for Google My Business. Again, these are just starting points though. If you find other databases, you could totally use it. This is just kind of a framework that I've dug up just so that you can do and cheap and get going for really not a lot of money. Again, this is Apollo. I did a super basic search, not something I'd probably recommend, but I just did, some basic life insurance stuff, looking for CEOs or founders at small companies. So, they're decision makers for, specific things. Included some stuff here, like clerks, receptionists, email status verified in keyword and industries there, insurance, and then life insurance. If you subscribe to Apollo, you will unlock a bit more of these features and filters and the amount of, leads you can actually scroll and browse. So that is that. And then for the cheapest method is going to be going on Ampify. That's where they have a bunch of scrapers and you actually get a free $5 credit by signing up. So you can actually scrape these first 1,000, 2,000 leads totally for free from Ampify. So that's awesome. So what you do is, again, sign up on Ampify, and then you're going to want to go to this scraper here, Apollo Scraper, scrape up to 50K leads. This is the URL for that. And then you're going to copy this search URL. So this entire URL, this is what the actual scraper looks like. It can be a little confusing. I will make a video that's going to walk you through it all, but this is just something, like an overview, like I said. So you're going to paste that script or that URL just right in there. You're going to give your total number of records, your max number of records, and then that's going to be it. And then you hit save and start, and they'll cost you $1,000. It's going to cost you $1.20. But again, of your free credits. So nothing being paid. And then you will spit out a run, what's called an actor run. And then your output will be here. And then all you have to do is you click up here, runs. And then you have a list of them and you click into it. And then you click where my mouse is here. You're going to click output. And then all you have to do is export your 1000 results. So then you're going to get your CSV file. It's going to have all these leads on it, all this data. So again, we're doing this the cheap way. So there's going to be a little bit of manual sorting the data, cleaning it up, all that stuff. But again, that's totally okay for how much we're not paying. So where are we here? Going back, so we have the Apollo scraper, which I just said, which is going to help, allow you to search that way. The alternative method is using Outscraper, which again is great alternative. But what this is going to do is allow you to scrape Google My Businesses. So they have a Google Maps scraper that you can just put in, life insurance agency, location, emails and contact scraper, email address validator. And this is going to run you about, I think, $4 per 1,000 leads. Double check on that. Everything I'm saying here, you have to double check. This is not gospel. Always check what there is. But again, the nice thing about this, it's pay as you go. So you load up your account with credits and they'll just take away the credits. Not a big deal. And the nice thing about the output for the Outscraper is, you'll get emails, so you'll get phone numbers, you'll get website, you'll get location, you'll get reviews, and you'll even get some email validation. I haven't compared how nice this or how effective the email validation is for the Outscraper output, but it seems to be okay. I would definitely try to run either it against the Outscraper mail validation directly, or trying out Verifier, which we use as well, just because some of these providers will have some discrepancies in what they validate as good or bad. Moving on. So step number 2, now we have our list. We need to validate these emails. So if you did your Google My Business scraper, those emails might already be validated and you might be able to clean up your list pretty immediately. So you can maybe just run it again, but after you delete anything that says invalid. So your cheapest way is going to be using Outscraper. We also use Million Verifier. It's just an alternative one. It's also cheap, but the problem is you have to pay. They only have certain monthly plans. So for Million Verifier, it starts at $37, where Outscraper you pay as you go, which is much nicer. You keep your costs low as you kind of start and scale up. So yeah, those are the two here. Again, they both will give a couple different results. So you have to test out both, see how it goes. And then step 3 is prepare your data, upload to Smartlead. And then, so by prepare your data, just going to go through it, comb it, make sure it looks nice, organize it, delete anything that's irrelevant, and then, get it ready for Smartlead and upload it. Important though, don't start your campaign until your warm-up is complete. Super important for that. But that is essentially it for the low cost outreach. Get started. You can get this started actually pretty cheap. All you really need to pay for is Smartlead. Other than that, you can get things off the ground pretty cheap. So that is great. Now, shifting gears to our bonus AI add-on. And this is something I've been working on, just using a broader scrape with Apollo and letting some LLMs scan the website to determine if it's a good fit. I'll walk you through it all, how it works here. I'm going to make another video if I do this, how this works, or if you guys comment and want it, I can do that as well. But I'll just walk you through the flow really quickly. So on form submission, that's how the flow starts. On what that is, I'm just getting the that Apollo URL and I'm putting it into a form, and also putting one niche on, just manipulating that. So what that does, this is all using webhooks and APIs, and this will go directly from here and automatically those Ampify scanners that I mentioned before in the video. So you have the Apollo Ampify scanner, which I already showed you, but this is doing it automatically. Have a wait step, get the run, get the data set, automatically put it into a Google Sheet. So you'll see when you download the Ampify results, there's going to be actually a lot of fields aren't really relevant to you. This way, it automatically sorts and gets rid of all of that. And then what this does is this section checks the company if it's going to be a good fit to sell leads to. So what this does, it pulls the row in the Google Sheet, and then I feed this into a LLM, and the prompt is essentially saying, you are an expert analyst. You are going to be analyzing these websites you're going to scan these websites and see if they are a good fit for selling life insurance B2C. They can do some business stuff or other workplace stuff, but they have to be able to sell B2C life insurance, and if they would be a good fit for buying leads, life insurance leads specifically. And there's some dynamic parameters that will just fill it all in based on what I submitted on that form. And I'm using Perplexity on this Open Router chat model, so that way it can just scan the website on its own, and I don't need to scrape the website then feed it into an LLM. I can just get Perplexity to go do that. Unless some of the other models can't actually go out and browse websites. So that's what that is. And then it'll update the row depending if it's a good fit or not, and give us a reason. And then if it is a good fit, which again, that's just pulling it from the Google Sheet, then it will go into the email validation sequence, and then we will use Million Verifier to validate if that email is actually receiving emails, and it won't bounce. And then it will just loop and do us all for all 500 items on this spreadsheet that I made. It takes about, 5-10 minutes for it just to keep looping and looping and looping. But again, you just do that on autopilot through the background, and then next thing you know, you have a list that is, relevant to you. Again, this is super basic. There's no real enrichment or personalization that's coming later. But I just wanted to give you kind of an overview of what's kind of possible with that. And then here's a list. This is all publicly available data, so nothing crazy here being revealed. But I just wanted to show the back half of that. So that is the good fit, email validation, and a reason. That's part of the sequence there. So this is the reason the LLM decided to indicate, was this a good fit? Yes or no. So if it was a good fit, it would make this column yes. And then if it was not a good fit, it would make this column no. And then if it was a good fit, it would run the email validation. And then you can see if it's a good email, risky, or bad. And then I would take that data and parse that out and then delete anything that I'm not going to be sending a cold email to. So then, you can see Life Depot Inc. is focused on providing platform individuals specifically about life insurance, yada, yada. But the main thing was more so weeding out the companies that only was focused on selling insurance for businesses or workplace benefits or things like that, because you can get a lot of that. And I don't want to be wasting cold emails on things like that. So yeah, that is that. That is the very, very high level view of a basic cold email system that you can run pretty cheap. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions.